David, I've spoken to you after defeats this season, but when I spoke to you on Monday, that was probably the most personally upset I've ever seen you.
Felt upset because in the manner in which we lost the 3 points, and you know, it's when you care as much as I do about your team and your football club, it's going to affect you, and when you come out straight away, sometimes it's not the most appropriate time to say things, and you have to be careful what you say. But I was upset because I care very much.
Upset with the manner of the defeat, but also upset that that was the point where mathematically it became, you know, impossible for your side to achieve that playoff spot. Because
we want to work as hard as we can for this club, and we want to achieve as much as possible. And when it slips out your hand, it affects you. And I think you can't hide that. You'd be a different person if you didn't show emotion. And I think you learn from it, but likewise you get respect from it. If you don't show emotion, it means you don't care very much.
You've done the analysis, I imagine, on Monday's performance. Where in particular did it go wrong for your side?
Just decision making, certainly. The first goal we gave away defensively was a poor one, a set piece. Didn't get tight enough in the box. The second one was a poor goal to give away defensively. I think again, I'm not going to make excuses for the defence, but Michael's absence there, and perhaps that voice might have been and Andy's gone in there and done a good job for us. Both Andys have had to go in different roles so we were a little bit stretched in that department, but I can't ask a fault for their effort. It was just the decision making, and then really the penalty late on is a telling moment.
What were the positives for you?
I felt there was a lot of positives. I mean, Jake obviously got to start a game, which is obviously we've been dying for him to start in recent months and throughout the season, really, because he's had a big contribution, and we hope that he can continue that. But Louis Briscoe did fine, and he certainly gave their left back a lot of questions, and I felt there was a lot of positives going forward. Just didn't, when we've got to 2-2, we should have gone on and won the game. We've got to learn to manipulate that and finish teams off.
Before we come on to this weekend's game, just want to take your post-match comments and the comments of Andy Perry today about next season's playing budget. Andy Perry today said that there is going to be a reduction in that playing budget, and you said on Monday that in order to get out of this league there will need to be financial investment. From that, is the club, do you think, preparing for, shall we say, a longer stay than it would have liked in the Blue Square Premier?
Well, I've always said that the club is the biggest thing, and certainly in our town, where we want the town to be behind the football club. I've worked very closely with Mr. Perry, and I totally respect his views on that, 100%. We're going to work as hard as we can from now for pre-season. We'll roll our sleeves up and work as hard as we have to do. We'll work together on that. I have no problem with that. As I say, you asked me questions straight after a game, and I felt that it was the answers that you give are always. I always try to be positive, and I've done that this season, and I remain so. I firmly believe that we've got a strong squad. We can achieve more, and we've got to work as hard as we can.
I think you hinted on Monday, and I take fully that you may have said things in the heat of the moment, but on Monday I got the impression that you were saying to me that you brought players in this season that maybe hadn't quite lived up to the billing that they've been given to you.
Well, there's been areas, and the stats will show at the end of the season where we can improve on, certainly, and I'm a big believer in looking at those statistics. There's been areas where we haven't been good enough, and certainly we've got to work as hard as we can on finding those answers to the questions that we're asked. But likewise, I don't think we've been far away, and I think the positives are, for the majority of the season we have been in the playoffs. Can't do nothing about Chester. That was 6 points that we didn't want to lose. There's been telling moments. I think the draws that we've had against certain teams, and I'll reflect on it later on at the end of the season, where I feel that we can have that opportunity to go break it down. But yeah, I mean, there has been areas that we can certainly do better.
Andy Perry today has also come out and publicly said that the board is backing you to do the best for this club. It's always nice to have the chairman on side, isn't it?
I think I've worked very closely with the chairman and the board here since they've taken over. Keeping the club up was a hard enough achievement when I first got here, so I was very pleased with that. having the amount of players out of contract was a good thing, but also a bad thing because you didn't have continuity. And we've had to look at bringing the type of personality into the club with the infrastructure we had. So I think there's been a lot of positives, but likewise, ultimately we haven't achieved our ultimate game, which was getting to a playoff spot, which we've got to look to improve on.
But in terms of Andy Perry's comments, I mean, especially at the end of the Wrexham game where there was that minority of fans calling for you to be removed, to have the board come out so publicly and support you is what you want in your position, will it be, David?
I think most managers would be pleased with that, yes, of course. I think that shows the texture of Mr Perry and the board. They know how hard I work for the football club. Nothing's easy. We don't want negativity, of course we don't, but I respect fans. The fans are entitled to their opinion, and that's always the case. And sometimes you have to just roll your sleeves up and work as hard as you can, and that's what I'm prepared to do for this football club. And there'll be no quarter not given in our aim to achieve as much as we can.
Let's look at the final run-in then. In terms of where Mansfield Town are, okay, promotion for this season is over. We were talking a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months, about how the running in a way was good for you in terms of you were playing sides in and around you, but at the minute, with the run you're on in terms of the 2 defeats and maybe a perceived lack of confidence in the side, playing sides above you in the league is maybe a tough run in now, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it's tough because, don't get me wrong, the players are affected by it. They want to be encouraged, of course they do, and I think the performances haven't befitted our points tally. I think you as journalists and people inside the club have seen how hard the boys are working on the pitch, and we give them that encouragement and that freedom to play. But likewise, as I say, I don't think there's been a fine line between some of the draws we've had and the defeats we've had, and yet the players have played very well.
Specifically in terms of this game, looking at the injuries, Michael Brough is a huge loss. Can you just update us as to his current ailments? But I think they're quite major though, aren't they, David? Yeah,
they are. Michael won't play again this season for us. Sadly, he had to go off with a dislocated finger. Obviously, when he was holding his shoulder as well, he's been protecting that for probably 2 months now, where he's had a shoulder brace on. And obviously, to lose Michael is a blow, of course it is.
Any other injury worries apart from the usual suspects? Luke Jones talking to us thinks he's maybe a week away from regaining fitness.
Well, again, Luke's worked very hard, and credit to the boy. He really is determined to come back and get a game in before the end of the season and show what he's about. And we hope that he can return fit, and hopefully within a week, to 10 days. Yeah.
Wimbledon yourself, two sides who maybe are in a similar position, promised much throughout the season, throughout 2/3 of the season, but now find themselves outside the playoffs.
Yeah, again, I think that Mr Brown has had a strong squad down there, certainly been able to add good players to his squad, and had the pleasure of coming up and that continuity there. So again, that's something that I'm looking at, and I feel that they've achieved a good position with a creditable squad that they've maintained.
In terms of the running now, is there going to be opportunities for you to experiment?
I'm looking for the players to just show their professionalism and certainly work as hard as they can and show what they're about and continue in the path that they've had. But I want that steel about them, and I want them to enjoy playing football. But as for experiment, I don't think there's a need to experiment too much, because we've got a squad that's capable. But likewise, I want them to go out there and play for the club and for the fans.
You've talked all season about finding out about players mentally. If there's going to be any time in a season where you find out about the makeup of someone and their personal motivation, it's at a time of the season now where there's 4 games to go, and there's nothing riding on these 4 games, and you've got to motivate yourself personally, isn't there?
Oh, 100%. I mean, you get out of bed every morning and you motivate yourself to go to work, and you have to go there with a spring in your step and determination. And certainly as a player, if you're not prepared to go and cross that line and roll your sleeves up, then you won't be here next season.
That's pretty much the bottom line in your mind now. If players don't continue to show any form of consistency, they will not be here.
Yes, 100%.
Best of luck for the weekend, David. Thank you.
Thank you.